Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well and having a great Wednesday so far. I'm excited for this week's episode and going to be sharing a little bit. Wow, all the things are happening. Sharing a little bit about what it really takes to get the corporate side of your business going. I've been having a lot of conversations with a lot of you, so I know that you're familiar with this process of, how do I get these contracts? I had, maybe a friend who plugged me in here or a client who plugged me in here, but I'm not really sure how to get this thing going. And then there are some of you who may be thinking, well, I can just kind of keep it rolling with what I have. People reach out to me, I do the things, so forth. So I'm going to break a few myths during this live today and talk about how you can kind of shift this line of thinking, and then also hopefully open you up to really seeing what these opportunities are, how simple this gets to be for you, and how you can start to create these opportunities just for yourself. You don't have to wait on others to do these things for you or to give you a way in. You can create and generate these opportunities for yourself. My clients have done it in the period of between 30 and 90 days, depending on what they had going on, or even, beyond that. But either way, learning this skill set is going to be critical to growing the corporate B2B side of your business. So if this is your first time here, my name is Kirsten Allen. I am your career/corporate strategist, helping you to be able to navigate the things and expertise that you have been collecting over time, all of the jobs, all of these different things that led you to this very point of what you're doing in your work. How can you turn that into a lucrative corporate opportunity? And I like to give some definitions because, again, people get confused. So when I say corporate, I do mean companies like Microsoft, Apple, all the things that we use every day. But I also mean the ones that you've never heard of before that have 4 and 5 figures to give you to do contracts. I also mean nonprofit organizations that also have 4, 5, 6, and even 7 figures allocated to give to, well, not give, but to hire experts to do the very trainings that you all have become experts in. And then I also mean universities and colleges, which are near and dear to my heart because that has been a part of my sales career. So I love that space. And that is another opportunity where you can show up and land some contracts. So, in that process of learning how to do that, there are so many pieces, but let's just get into what we're talking about today. So, you got who I am, you know why we're here. Let's dive in. So, the reason I thought about this topic and wanted to come and speak on this is because, again, I think that referral business is great, but it's so much better. Just like you say, you give a man a fish or you teach him how to fish, which one is better? It's always learning how to fish, right? Because when those referrals dry up, or when somebody moves companies or is coming out of the industry or whatever the case may be, then you still have an avenue where you can grow this business and you know exactly how to get the clients, how to move them through the sales conversation, and all the things that need to happen from there. So, the first piece of why it won't cut it, why referrals will not cut it in corporate contracts is one, as I alluded to, it's out of your control. If, Lord forbid the person moves, or, even if their scope changes and they're no longer connected with your ideal client or in that company anymore, where does your referral business go? Down the tube, right? Yes, you could create a new connection with whoever may have replaced them and all the things, but you don't want to be fully reliant on that. You want to make sure that you have your own process as to how you can begin to do this. And here's the thought that you want to have. I know a lot of people get afraid, or they feel like, hey, I actually just had a conversation with someone today who verbatim said, sometimes it can feel like you are kind of the small fish going into this large corporate building. And it's like, how am I going to connect with them? How am I going to show up in my expertise with this large billion-dollar company, that's doing all these great things? And I want to free you for a second in that, because I totally understand where that can come from, right? But guess what? You are not going and speaking to the CEO of Microsoft or Apple. You could, but that's not the way, that's not the only way to get a contract, right? And you're not even going into, most times, this large space in a conference room, giving a proposal in front of a room of C-suite executives. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be, but that's typically not what my clients are doing just to start to get some success in the corporate contract space. What they're actually doing is, and I did a post about this a while ago, they're speaking to John, that is the head of HR for this one particular department in this large, massive company. So you're connecting with a human being. Just how I'm talking to you right now, I was a corporate buyer, you guys. So I have contracted with companies for design work at my current company, and also in the space of getting speakers as an ERG leader. So you may feel like it's a little scary, but just think about it. I was a corporate buyer. You could literally have been talking to me and pitching your services and moving along the process. So I hope that gives you just a little bit more of an ease. Like, this does get to be a conversation, not anything that you have to feel you got to be 100% polished and you can't make any mistakes and they're going to drill me and all these things. No, it's just a very easy conversation. So when you think about going into corporate and having those conversations, just think about me. Think about other people that you know, friends, family. These are all regular people. The big distinction that most people have a hard time making is that you're not trying to convince them that they need to work with you, right? You already have the thing. They already have the cash. They just need to know that you're going to do the thing that moves the needle in their world, whatever they're responsible for. You need to make sure that your offer matches that. If all boxes are checked there, it should be no reason why it's not a yes. They have the money. Like, I did a few posts over the past couple of weeks, just sharing with you how much money these organizations have to allocate for these particular services. So it's not that. So you don't have to worry about being apprehensive on that front. What you need to be, what hat you need to put on when you're having these conversations is of a researcher, a problem solver, someone who is just looking to understand, hey, what exactly is keeping you up at night? I know it's like a cliche sales question, but what's keeping you up at night? What are the priorities that you have right now? Where are the areas where you feel you could be more supported in order to achieve your goals? Whatever they say there, that's your thing, right? So we got off in a little tangent, but that is important for you all to know, because I think that even folks that are watching my content, you may hear all these things and it might be small pieces where you're believing one thing when really actually it's a lot easier than you could think. Okay, so let's get into the second reason why referral business alone won't cut it in the corporate contract space. And that piece is you're actually limiting your pool of opportunities. So if you're only, let's say you're connected to 3 people that send business your way, right? Yes, you have those 3 people in your network and their connections, whoever that is, that can refer you. But that's the limit, like who they know. And, obviously, as you work with their connections, it'll be who they know. But that's your limit in terms of your opportunity. When you really learn how to master the skill and go and get your own opportunities, the possibilities are endless. And also, you yourself can qualify if these people would be a good fit to work with you. So yes, you're obviously going to have that conversation even when you get a referral, but think about being able to work this on your own. Go out here and look at who your target list would be and reach out to those specific people with a targeted message. That's going to move the needle for you as well, and create this system where you're actually cherry picking who you want to work with. You're handling the outreach process. And again, you're creating that unlimited potential of pool of clients that are not just relying on who knows who, but you can do this on when you're having a period where you're like, hey, I have some extra time, or, maybe something in your schedule switched around. Hey, I can do a workshop this month. Instead of kind of sitting back and saying, well, I guess I'll do it when Sally sends me a referral, and that's when I'll go ahead and do this contract. Instead of doing that, you now have the opportunity to say, well, I'm going to get on LinkedIn. I'm going to go to some events. I'm going to pull up my email list, my leads list, and I'm going to start sending out some information and get on calls with people and start talking about this workshop that I have or this series that I want to do, right? drumming it up when you need to drum it up. So I think that's one of the main benefits of just untapping your potential, not just keeping it to when people, bring things your way, but also thinking about how can I go out here, get these opportunities right on time when I need them. All right. So, and that kind of leads into the last piece about, your opportunities being capped in terms of why the referral business won't cut it. Because again, you are focused on waiting for people to drop things into your inbox. They could be qualified, they could not be, right? So people can send people your way. It doesn't mean that they're an automatic client. They still have to go through the process like everyone else. So then once you know this process, if such and such doesn't come through as a good client, that is not the only egg that you have in the basket. So thinking about just that metaphor of, keeping more than one egg in your basket, keeping your table with more than one leg. If you're only solely relying on this one thing, what do you have to fall back on if you actually want to grow this corporate side of your business? Now, if it's just something passive for you and you just like doing it when it comes up, then this isn't the live for you. But if you're someone that's like, no, I really see myself in my vision growing my business to where corporate contracts are a huge part of my business, whether that's 30% of my business or 40 or 50 or 60, whatever that looks like for you, then you need to learn the key skills of going to get the business yourself. And so that being said, those are the things that you want to consider and why I won't cut it. Now, here's what you can do, and here's how to flip the script on this so that you can be generating those opportunities on your own. The first thing, and I love that I have some conversations before this because I can kind of share what we talked about in those calls in this live to help you all as well. Some of you, in terms of going after corporate contracts, are just jumping straight to sending people your website or saying, hey, do you want to work with me? Or here's my services page and all these things. That part, and if you're getting ghosted by those, I want to talk to you specifically because there's a one small key piece that's missing here, but you need to address the other parts around this in order to see success. So what's happening? People think, oh, they just don't need my services, or, oh, people don't have the budgets and all of those things. That's not true. People have the budgets for the things that help them get to where they're looking to go. So if you're sending out messages to companies and they're saying no thanks or whatever the case may be, your first thing shouldn't be, well, they don't have the money, or, they don't value my services. No, that's not it. That's not it. Let's go back. You're not communicating what you offer in a way that aligns with what they're looking to solve. The only way that you know that is by talking to them. So we can't go into a silo and create these offers and get excited about them because it's what we love to do and we know that they need this, right? However, we have to understand that we need to be in lockstep with their language. So I never suggest for clients to just jump out and start sending out their offers. We don't even spend a lot of time with the clients that I work with. We create a shell. Like, we know they're expert. We speak to the expertise, right? We know what they've been doing for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So we got that down, right? We create a shell of what their workshop series would look like or what this particular offer would look like. But we go and validate that by having market research conversations and then build that way. And I'm telling you this because I learned it the hard way, right? I did not follow this process in the beginning, which is why I started to look at, okay, what's the missing piece here? Even someone as a seasoned B2B salesperson transitioning into doing this as an entrepreneur, I still had to jump back into these skill sets and start to master it and craft it for this business that I'm building. So when you're having that friction of people aren't responding, that should be a signal to you to take a step back and let's see, are we having the conversations? Are we communicating with them to understand what their needs are? Because if you sent someone something that was exactly what they needed, they should be getting on a call with you, right? So we got to slow down so that we can really understand what to put in our offers, what to say in our messaging. Another piece that I hear a lot of people say is, I don't even know how to start the conversation. You're not, going in and giving a pitch right off rip. especially if you're just jumping into this space. You need to be putting on your discovery hat, your researching hat. You're still an expert, right? But you need to become more well versed in what they're experiencing, what their problems are, what their gaps are, what their challenges are, and then position yourself to solve those. That's really it. That's like the key to sales. If I can think about all the sales training that I took, over my career about consultative selling, that's really just it. So going back a little bit and just thinking about what are these areas that you want to be clear on. So that offer piece is definitely key, but you allow the customer to help you, or the client to help you frame up that offer. No coach, not even me, can tell you like, hey, this is the exact offer that you need to put in front of them to say yes. No, let the customer is ultimately the person paying you, is the person who validates the offer. We create the shell, we show up in our expertise, we navigate the conversation and ask the right questions, but ultimately that person is going to guide you in terms of what your offer should include and how to message it. All right, so we're going to get off that one. The second part of this into how to build your own machine, your own lead generation machine outside of referrals, is going to be your marketing systems. So a lot of y'all know me as the LinkedIn girl. And obviously, that's one place to start building these conversations. But what we've also expanded to in my program is thinking about how can we navigate some of these events, whether in person or virtual, where we're having contacts with people, where we're doing our speaking engagements and all these different things, or just going and networking. How can we utilize those conversations to turn that into opportunities that become consistent for our business? So going to events where your corporate decision makers are going to be, where they're looking to connect with business owners like you, especially if you're a diverse business owner or women-owned business owner. There are so many opportunities where companies are looking to connect with you, and they want to allocate some of the funds that they have to working with experts just like you. You just need to show up. So I will continue to say this on Mark Zuckerberg's internet, that we just need to show up. We need to be there as an expert. We need to stop hiding. We need to stop thinking all of these different things that actually aren't true and they aren't holding us back, and go in and serve. They're looking for us. And so that's the last piece, is the sales conversation. So obviously this can be complex depending on what industry you're in and all the different things, but it also gets to be simple. It gets to just be a conversation. It gets to be, hey, here's what you have going on. Here's what I have. Let's do this. Sign, in layman's terms, summarizing it. But obviously it does get to be that simple. And I want to shift that for you all as well. Some people have the belief that, oh, this is going to take months, or, this is going to take, what have I heard people say, 6 months, a year, whatever, to close. That's not necessarily the case. Now, there is, a runway, especially if you're building on a cold relationship, but it does not have to be 6 months, 9 months, a year in order to be able to get that contract in the door. One of the things that I also support my clients with is utilizing their existing network, because those are going to be the first few opportunities that we can get in the door like that, right? So you already have someone, at least one person, I'm sure, in your network that's a decision maker or connected to a decision maker. So the big thing there is figuring out exactly how to position this in front of them, what you're doing, and ask for the connection. So you'll probably be surprised of the people that can connect you in this area that's already right in your backyard. So don't get too lost or caught up in the look of what corporate contracts looks like. And instead of thinking about it that way, choose to say, how can I do this? How can I make this easy for myself? How can I have a natural conversation where I'm the expert? How can I make sure that this is opportunities that don't take a year to close, right? But still have some things that are cooking in the background. So when a couple of quarters come down, I can, re-engage with this person who said their budget opens up then. So much we could go into in this conversation, but that is really the process that you want to look at. And I hope that you've been able to just adopt some of these beliefs and make it easier for yourself to see that you're closer than you think. You don't have to wait until next year. You don't have to wait until next quarter. This is something that you can simply do now. And corporate contracts don't have to be overcomplicated. You can license a course. You can do a one-day workshop. You can do a multi-day workshop. You can host office hours. You can host virtual office hours, right? So the opportunities are truly endless. It's all about providing the best solution for the client that you're speaking with, and then also combining that with your own expertise and capacity. What are you willing to do? Is it virtual talks that you want to do only? Okay, let's find the opportunities. It doesn't have to be anything that is strenuous or long drawn out and overly complex. Let's choose the simple thing that you love to do in the way that you love to do it, and let's just keep offering it. Okay. So that is the end of the content for today. If you got some great takeaways after this, feel free to leave a comment. So I'm just going to wrap up and invite you all to work with me. So if that's not something that you're ready to do, you are free to go. However, if you do want support in this and you want more than just, me giving you these ideas, but actually plugging this strategy into your business and getting my support along the way as you're having these conversations, then I want to invite you to work with me in my 90-day coaching program. We just signed a new client today, so super excited about that, and I would love to welcome you in as well. Essentially, in this program, we cover the 3 phases that I just shared. So we talk about your offer. I guide you through that market research process so that you can make sure you're aligned with what your client needs. And we identify who those companies would be and who exactly do we need to talk to that makes the decisions and that can influence us moving forward. The second piece is the marketing, getting on LinkedIn, getting in these events, utilizing your network, referral partners, whatever that may be. So that could be referrals, but we don't solely rely on that. We make sure that you understand how to go out here and get clients yourself and confidently have that conversation from start to finish. And that moves me into the sales piece. And that is getting on the call. What questions do you ask? I have a exit ticket that I've created for my clients to say, hey, when you get on this call, you need to make sure you cover these 3 buckets before you commit to anything else after that. If you don't get this, you got to book another call. You got to try it again. So those type of things help you to make sure, number one, you're not leaving money on the table, that you're knowing how to navigate the conversation, that you're not getting ghosted and creating these long drawn out proposals only to hear, hey, we don't have the budget for this right now. We're not doing that. Again, we're learning from the things that I have been able to develop over the past several years in this space. So that's what the program looks like. It is one-on-one. I get a lot of questions on this. It is not group at this time. It's one-on-one. So you get customized time and strategies with me so that you can be able to plug this into your business and be able to run it like a well-oiled machine. And you get my resources. So everything that I'm telling you that I've learned over several years that I've been able to refine, I'm giving you the versions of that you can take and plug into your business. So we're talking proposals, email, not necessarily scripts, but email guides, we'll say, because scripts is so rigid. And giving you those things so that you can be able to get up and running quickly. That is one of my core values, is to get you activated quickly. So that's what the program looks like. If you're interested in applying to work with me, there will be a link down in the chat for you to go on over to my page, fill out the application. And then from there, if you're qualified, we'll go ahead and have your call, answer any questions that you have, and get you started in the program. We are quickly filling up, so I am super excited for the folks that we're working with, but I know that there are others like you that need this assistance and need this support. Maybe fear is getting in your way, and it's time to just bust that and move forward into this space that I know that you need to be providing this expertise, whether it is that nonprofit or that large corporation. You need to be in there sharing these amazing things that you're doing, and I want to guide you in the process of doing that. So go ahead and click the link to apply to the program, and let's have a conversation and see if it's a good fit. And if so, you will get the formal information to get started. All right, so I will see you all next week on our edition for this live streaming series. In the meantime, you all know where to find me. And again, leave your comments and takeaways in the chat box below so that I can come back and say hey to you and give you a like. All right, talk to you all soon.